Hello. So in the previous episode, we've done quite a lot of work. We've added posts, we've added device invitable, we've added contact cache, and we've added some decorators for our links and for boolean true or false. And now we're actually going to keep working on our posts. So first of all, we see if we open a post, we see markdown in the body, and otherwise we just see plain text. So let's fix this. Let's go to our posts, partial, and here we still have simple format, so we will make it markdown like this. And if we open a post, well, we don't need to see the words title and body. It will just be a header for the title, and the body doesn't need the word body. Okay, so looks a bit better. And actually, at the moment we have just one post and it doesn't look really great. Let's actually automatically populate, seed our application with some random posts. So let's go to our seeds.rb. And here we already seed some users. Let's also seed some posts for these users. So we will say post.create. A post has a title. Then a post has a body. And a post belongs to a user. So we want to actually assign posts to different users automatically, randomly. So we'll need to do this somehow. Now, it's going to work like this. We're going to get each user like this, and the user is going to be a user, this user. And we're going to assign a random number of posts between 0 and 5, for example. So we will say 0 to 5 dot times, random 0 to time 5 times do, and we're going to assign a few posts to each user. And now for a title, we will use faker lorem, and for body, we will use faker markdown. Yeah, that's actually fake markdown. So let's add some kind of random fake markdown here for the body. And we will go to our docs of faker default. And here we have lorem. And we will add some kind of default sentence for the title. So faker lorem sentence, word count 3. Okay. And let's see if it works. Now let's try it not with 50 users. Let's try it with 5 users. Rails db reset. And Rails server. So we have deleted all the data from our application, created a few users, and now we're going to sign in or sign up. And okay, we are on our account. Let's see all the users. So there are 6 users, 5 created by Seeds and 1 by us. And going to posts, yeah, there are 9 posts. And we see they are all created by different users. And for example, this user has 4 posts, and this user has just 1 post. So our updated seeds work. Now let's save our changes, git status, git add all, git commit main seeds for posts, and posts, let's say markdown for posts partial. Okay, and now actually let's think. So let's imagine such a business model for our application. Some posts will be free, and reading some of the posts, it will require some kind of premium subscription. So first of all, we will add a field named premium that will be a boolean, either true or false, to our posts. So let's do it. Let's say Rails generate migration, add the premium to posts, premium, boolean. And by default, we will say that it is false. So let's go to our db migrate. Here is the migration. No, not this one. Here it is. So we're adding a boolean named premium, and by default, it will be false. Okay, let's run the migration, Rails db migrate, and let's actually let our users select either premium or not premium. So let's add this to our controllers inside our post controller. we're going to whitelist premium like this. And okay, I need to relog in. Yeah, it sometimes happens on Cloud 9. I think I often say that something happens on Cloud 9. Well, there are different cons and pros of working on a cloud environment. Like right now, I'm running a Windows computer and I really don't want to install all the web development stuff locally. So I'm just using this opportunity to do it from the cloud. Previously, Cloud9 used to be like kind of startup, but a few years ago, like around 2018, I guess, it was purchased by Amazon, and they've actually been maintaining it. So around like 2015, 17, there were a lot of different cloud IDEs, and this one is the one that still lives thanks to Amazon. So pros and cons. Okay. Anyway, let's see if it is working. Get status. Yeah, they are running. So let's start our server and try to edit the premium of a post. So going to a new post, we want to see a checkbox to set premium or not. And let's add this inside our posts form. Okay, so we'll be able to click. It will be a checkbox field for premium. Okay, and we can set it to true or false. Let's create a new post. Let's try to add some kind of markdown and say that it is premium. So we create the post. Okay, and let's actually display that it is premium. So going to our post partial, we would say that it is premium somewhere. So let's say equals post.premium. And go to our posts, and yeah, it is either false or true. Well, we can actually also wrap it into some kind of helper like boolean label post premium. And for now, it will give us either true or false. Well, in this case, we don't want to have true or false. We want to have something like premium or free. So we would actually edit our helper. Let's go to our helpers, application helper, and here we have this helper for boolean label value. And let's create a separate helper for our posts. So we'll go to new file, posts helper.rb, and inside it will be a module, post helper, and inside it will be not boolean label, but let's say premium label. And if it is true, we will have the same colors of the badges, but we'll have different values. So we'll say value or text will be premium. And in the other case, text will be free. And here we will display the text. And let's see if this works. We will just wrap our post premium into a different label and see if it works. And yeah, it seems to work, but let's just change the colors. So it is going to be like this. So it is going to be green if it is free and red if it is premium. So kind of works. And let's do the same for our show view. So here is our show, and we will also add this premium label. Now, at some point of time, we will definitely want to unify these two views. And we can actually do it now. Why do we have this additional views and logic for show? Let's just render a partial. So let's render the partial. Posts post, and the post will be at, I think like this, at post equals post. Let's see if this works. Okay, I guess vice versa. Okay, we are rendering the content, and let's remove the other additional stuff that we don't need anymore. And like this, our views are kind of more unified. Yeah, and we don't need this edit and back either. So just on the show view, we also render the post partial at the moment. Of course, in the future, we can improve this. Anyway, we've added this partial and we've added premium to our posts. I think it's time for us to save our changes. I treat programming as a computer game. I try to auto-save as often as possible. Add premium to posts. Okay, and now we will start adding some kind of payment system. And of course, we're going to use Stripe for this. So let's add Stripe to our application. Now we will need to install the gem Stripe Ruby. So let's get this gem Stripe and add it to our gem file. You see, the quantity of gems is like really growing quite fast, and well, we do need them all. Okay, we've added the gem Stripe, and now we will need to add our Stripe API key, so our Stripe secret key. Let me just close all the tabs that we are not using right now. Yeah, so we'll go to our config initializers and add a new initializer stripe.rb. Okay, and in this initializer, we will add Stripe API key, and we will get our API key. So now I'm logged into a Stripe dashboard. I will go to developers. Now going to API keys, and I will need the secret key. Okay, I get the secret key. I can paste it here. Of course, it's not a great approach, but let's just check if it works. I will run my console and try to retrieve some kind of data from the Stripe API. I will type Stripe customer.list, and I get the list of my customers. I will try to open a single customer and get a customer's ID. So I'll get this customer. Here is the customer's ID. And I will type Stripe customer.retrieve and will input the ID. And we get the details about this customer. So here is the email, so it works. Okay, and now we'll move our secret key into our credentials. So instead of getting the secret key like this, we will type something like rails.credentials, rails.application.credentials.dig, and we will have rails.env.toSim. So we will nest our Stripe API keys under the environment. Then we will get Stripe, and then we will get secret. Okay, so it will look like this. It will look like development, then inside Stripe, and inside secret. Okay, let's add this to our API keys. I'm going to type editor vim rails credentials edit. Oh no, now you see all my API keys. What shall I do? Yeah, so now I'm going to add this key under the same nesting. Now I'm going to go, I already have development for GitHub. I will also add it for Stripe. And here I will have an ID. And yeah, I will get this ID from developer, API keys. I copy this public key and I will get the secret. And the secret is going to be, well, this one. Yeah. And paste it here. And well, I can do the same for production. So for now, it's going to be just Stripe. Then we get the ID and the secret. So you see, PK stands for public key, SK stands for secret key. And yeah, for now, I'll use the test key for both production and development. Looks fine. And one more thing I definitely will need to do is add a webhook key. So yeah, I've already created the webhook endpoint URL. I just went to add endpoint. I added my domain / webhooks. For now, we are just going to have Stripe. And enabled only customer.created. So that's fine. I will just get the sign-in secret key and add it somewhere here. So we will need this webhook key, like this, and like this. Webhook. Okay. I'm just checking the typing. And now I exit with saving. And let's see if we can get all the keys in our console. So we will check Rails application credentials dig for all the keys. For secret, for ID, and for webhook. So it all works. Perfect. Now we've added our Stripe API keys. And now we want to kind of associate our user in the application with a user in Stripe. So whenever a user creates an account in our application, then we would also create a customer in Stripe and associate the customer's ID with our application's user's ID. So how are we going to do it? Now, first I will remove this. I will just leave the credentials thing. And I would actually add a Stripe customer ID to our users. So I would type Rails generate migration, add Stripe customer ID to users. Stripe customer ID, and it should not be integer. It should be a string. This is important because as you've seen, Stripe uses IDs like this one, not just the integers. Okay, let's have a look at our migration. Going to db migrate, add Stripe customer ID to users. It is string. Okay, looks fine. Let's type Rails db migrate. And let's assign a Stripe customer ID to a user whenever the user is created in the application. So let's go to our users model and add an after action. So in models, user.rb, they're going to add an after action, after create. So after create, do. After creating the user, they're going to run customer equals Stripe customer dot create, and email is going to be the email from the user that was registered. And we will also type something like update Stripe customer ID with the customer .id. Okay, something like this should work. So let's try to create a new user and see how it works. I will sign out Now, what is the email? I'll log in with another email. Okay, let's take this one. And let's see if I have a Stripe customer ID. I can do it, for example, in the console at the moment. Let's say user.last. And here we have this Stripe customer ID. Let's have a look once again. I'm going to my Stripe dashboard to customers. And yeah, I will refresh. Let's give it some time. But basically we should see that like just now at 10 o'clock, 4 or 5 minutes in the evening, a new customer was created. No idea why it is so slow. I will try some kind of other URL. Okay, not perfect either. Anyway, going back, let's also display the Stripe customer ID inside our user partial. Just for development purposes. Our users don't need to see the Stripe customer IDs. It like brings no value to anybody. So going to our views, to our users partial, we will add this Stripe customer ID. Like this and like this. And now I will refresh. And here we see the user has a Stripe customer ID associated to him. And I can go to my search. I will try to find a user with a Stripe customer ID. It says jump to customer. So this customer was successfully created. Let's see if the email matches. So this one and this one. Okay, the email is matched. So we've created a basic kind of API call to tell Stripe to create a customer, and Stripe returned us the Stripe customer ID into our database. Looks good. Let's save our changes. Git status, git add all, git commit main, gem Stripe, and add Stripe customer ID to users. Okay, looks good. Now we will definitely want to use some kind of webhooks. So this approach in the after create is not perfect because, for example, what if Stripe is down for some kind of moment and this action doesn't really work? Well, then we would want to receive some kind of webhooks to webhooks from Stripe. Basically, we will send this call to Stripe, and when Stripe creates the user, when Stripe can send us a response with the customer, then only we will assign the Stripe customer ID to the user. So for this, we're going to use webhooks that are like post requests that Stripe sends into our application to change something. So we will need to add webhooks. Now there is this gem Stripe event, but we are not going to use this gem. We can just do it manually without any gems. It's also quite easy. So going to our controllers, we will add a webhooks controller. Okay, and it will inherit just as any other controller from the application controller. Okay, and we will need to add it to our routes. Yeah, here we're going to have an action named create. So going to our config, routes.rb, we'll need to add an additional resources, webhooks, only create, something like this. So we can receive incoming post requests. And yeah, to receive incoming post requests, we'll need to add a few more settings. Now, nobody would be really writing this webhooks controller on their own. You would be either using a Stripe events gem, or you would be using a like default webhooks controller that is used across other applications. So in well, a few other applications of mine, I use it. I use this webhooks controller, so I'm just going to copy it from there. So here there is this SAS blog from my Stripe course. I will go to webhooks controller. And I'm going to just copy it from here. Now, the first line is needed just to skip device so that our Stripe webhooks don't stumble into like user has no access or not authorized. And then from here, we basically get the request from Stripe, and all the requests in webhooks are kind of events. And there are different kinds of events. There are customer created, customer deleted, customer subscription created, new payment created, new product created, and so on. So there are lots and lots of these webhook types. So basically, webhooks send different events. And here we can also see a list of all the events that are sent. And let's open one of our webhooks. So we'll open our Super Rails webhooks. And see, we have this webhook that was trying to be sent, customer.created. And inside this webhook, we send an event. An event is basically a JSON with an ID. Here's the ID of the event and the information about when the event was created, the API version, and most importantly, the data inside this event. The data is a customer or a product or a subscription and something that happened with it. So we see this one is a customer created. So type is customer created. And here we handle the event based on the type. So when the customer is created, then we're going to do some logic. Now let's copy this and modify it a bit. So, okay, we don't need any changes here. And we are, for now, just going to only receive this event customer created. We don't need these subscriptions. Right now, we're not ready for them yet. Okay. Yeah, we do need to end the when statement. So when customer is created, then we get the customer. So event data object, it is basically, this is the event. Then we go into data, into object, and we can get, for example, the ID, or we can get the email. So we get this customers like event data object email, event data object ID. So we find a user with the same email, and we assign the Stripe customer ID through the webhook. So this approach is kind of more correct than doing it like this inside our model. So I will just comment these two lines out and leave it like this. So the only thing we do is send an API call from our model to Stripe to create a user. And when Stripe is ready, it sends us a webhook with the Stripe customer ID. And inside this action, it actually assigns the Stripe customer ID to our user. This is how webhooks work. So not so hard. Okay, let's see if it works. We've added our webhooks controller. We've added our roots. So for webhooks, only create. I will just verify if it is the same in this other application. Often you just don't have to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, there I have only create, and here I'm going to have exactly the same. And we have updated our user.rb. So git add all, git commit main, Stripe webhooks. Now I actually can't change, actually cannot check it in my development environment because I will always be getting this failed error because in Cloud9 there is some kind of AWS restriction from receiving incoming requests, and I still don't know how to bypass it. So if you know how to bypass this like Cloud9 firewall for incoming requests, then please let me know. Anyway, now I'm going to push the changes to Heroku and see if it works. So git push and git push Heroku main. And then I will also need to run the migration, and then we'll be able to see if it works. So actually not bad progress. We've already got users, posts, and later on we'll need to add some kind of authorization. So like different user roles. We will have a status for posts, whether the post is published or not published yet. Then we will work on the SEO so that the posts are more discoverable, and we will definitely add tags so a post can be found by tags. We will add global search. We will add the comments and nested comments, likes, like upvotes, downvotes. So there is still a lot of stuff that we will definitely add to our application. Now, while I'm talking, we are slowly pushing to Heroku. Really slowly. Yeah, all Rails 6 applications push slowly to Heroku, much longer than Rails 5. And let's think what else we will need to add from Stripe. So we will need to add different pricing, actually a pricing page, and we will add the subscription status to our users, then the date when the subscription ends. Basically, a subscription is like access to content with an end date. So we can just add an end date to our users, and when they make a payment, the end date is postponed based on the payment amount or other like metadata. Okay, we are still pushing. Oh my god. Actually, I'm not pausing the video this time because last time I did it, it just broke. Okay, and Heroku run Rails DB migrate. Now, this also requires kind of a tiny bit of time because it takes the console to connect to Heroku. But I think we can already open our application. Okay, now I will log in and I will sign in with Google. Okay, I'm actually already signed in. So I will sign in with another account. Again, I pressed GitHub. I already have an account on GitHub, so we won't be able to run this webhook. I'm going to go and sign in with some kind of account that I haven't created an account yet. Okay, so you see, at the moment, we've just created our account and we still do not have an associated Stripe customer. Let's have a look at our webhooks. Let's refresh the page. And well, usually webhooks get sent within like seconds, but it would take longer than for you to just log in. That's why we still don't have a Stripe customer, possibly, if it was created. Now we will know. Yeah, we can, I think, in the meantime, refresh our page and see if a Stripe customer ID was assigned. No, it wasn't assigned. And let's try to see why. So we've got this customer created. It was sent just now. And let's see what the problem was. Okay, still internal server error. And what was the email? It was, okay. It looks like we didn't have it sent to this account. It looks like this account was already created. So let's see the users that we have at the moment in production. Okay. Let's just see, am I checking correctly? I'll have a look at the users. Now we have TDCM and Outlook. I will just go and create another user. So I'll create a user with this email and we will see if a webhook gets sent. So, okay, I've created the user, still no Stripe customer ID. I refresh, still nothing. I am going to our webhooks. We can also run the Heroku Logs or something like that, Heroku Logs tail, and see if we are receiving any incoming webhooks. So let's see. It is still failed. And we get this internal server error. Interesting. Now the URL is correct and the sign-in secret is correct. Let's try to resend. I'll press resend. And will anything happen here? Yeah. So it works, but we get this error. Argument error, secret should be a string. Okay, I made a mistake in my webhooks. Yeah, in my webhooks controller. Of course, yeah, this is the problem of copy pasting. Exactly. So here I don't have a Stripe environment, but set in the Rails credentials, and we just don't have this credential working. And we will just need to add rails.env.toSim. And let's just once again verify if this exists. Rails application credentials dig. Okay. Let's just see if it exists. I'm stopping the Heroku console. Saving this. Running the Rails console. Now, I didn't want to run the error. I want to check if this path exists. I think I'm already quite tired. Okay, it does exist. So I will just save our changes and push to Heroku once again and see if it works. Okay, I think now we have pushed to Heroku once again, and I will try to resend a webhook. So I press resend, and we still get the error. Okay, this one succeeded. Good. Let's refresh. And yeah, works now. So we have assigned the Stripe customer ID via the webhook. And as of now, all the new webhooks are going to be received successfully. So we've basically added the basics of Stripe, and we'll continue later on for more. So thanks for being with me, and have a nice time coding.